I've been developing a software platform to enable systems thinking to kind of work with complexity, essentially, and to be able to get on top of complexity, both in our personal and professional life. So I was talking more about inner innovation and stuff like that. But essentially, it's got its foundations on systems thinking, complexity science, and being able to work with complexity, right? So, I have a small exercise. I've created a app, which I call as the cognitive canvas, a cognitive mapping canvas. And this is what it looks like. So this exercise is about something very simple. Let's explore, systems thinking as we defined it. We just said that it feels like crime investigation, but let's take something very simple, such as making a cup of tea, right? And what it feels like to do systems thinking on something very simple. The point of the exercise is, how do we make a cup of tea? Let's kind of collectively work on it, right? So give me some hints, right? How do you guys go about, anyone wants to guide me?
Are we starting from the point of like waking up in the morning, or at what point do we start? Sure, how deep do you want to go?
Yeah, so it can get pretty deep, for the first level of clues that we have in our crime investigation. Let's probably stick to, just the making of the tea. I'll switch to what I call the Zen mode as well, so I don't have much of a interference, and I'll get rid of this because it's not doing anything for me. Moment. So what do I need to get started? How do we make a cup of tea? Like just making a cup of tea. There are a number of ways it could be done. So one of you can guide me on this. Yeah.
Boiling water. The way to heat water. Yeah.
So we have water, and we have a way we want to heat water. So now I think we have to make a choice. Are we going for tea leaves, or are we going for the tea bags?
That's another choice. Yeah.
Easy. Microwave tea bags.
Okay. All right.
Have to have something to hold the water.
Yes, that's right. So microwave. So you need something to hold the water. So let's say cups, maybe a cup. We're making 1 cup of tea, let's say. So in which case, so how do we connect the dots now? So we say, pour the water in the cup. Makes sense? Yeah.
Yep.
And put the cup in the microwave.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, open the door of the microwave. How granular are we getting here?
Exactly.
Make sure to open the door.
Do not break the window.
So the cup goes inside here, and then you say heat the water. Okay. And do we put the tea bags in before we pour the?
No, when it comes out.
When it comes out.
Because tea bags sometimes have a little stapler. If you put that in the microwave, it's not good.
That is so true. I didn't think about it. I haven't come across that. I have put the tea bags in the microwave.
But, you have? Okay, maybe because it's in water, then it doesn't.
Perhaps, yeah. All right. So microwave, it comes out, and then, okay, so take the cup out. All right. Maybe, we'll say, get the cup out. All right. As a part that connects between the microwave, the cup, and then the next step, which is add tea bags. Yeah. So, and then what else? What about milk? Any preference there? Add milk.
I don't do milk, but
I was going to say, is that necessarily a part of making tea?
Okay. What about any condiments, any spices?
Sure.
Uh,
No, not for me.
Okay.
Maybe for
You're
others.
and you make my job easy as well, so I'll leave it there. And considering the time, I think this is probably enough. So what we have established here is a way for us to map a process or represent something, right? So really what we have is a bunch of stuff and a bunch of things that we do with that stuff, and put together, it creates something for us, right? And, it's giving us, so I think, Deborah, you mentioned about something functional, something that's operational, so it's coming together and it's giving us a cup of tea that we can consume. There are a bunch of things that works to make this happen. We can probe this even more, and go into, where do we get the water from? Where does the microwave come from? Where does the tea bag come from? So there's a lot we can dig into it and go into any number of details. We can create some systemic views out of this kind of things, and we can look at it from various different perspectives, right? So this is what, I just wanted to give you guys a feel for what systems thinking looks and feels like.
You bring up a good point. Like,
Yeah.
how many levels deep do you generally want to go? If you're talking about, let's say you're working with at a company and you're brought in to do systems thinking on the system. What's the expectation? Because you could definitely spend a lot of levels.
Absolutely. So the objective here is not to create some pretty maps like this. It's not about, the artifact is not the important point, but the important point is, are you able to uncover the truth that you're after? Okay. So how close, how much do you want to know? And it's driven by that entirely. And with this kind of a tool, this is basically kind of supporting infinite hierarchies, right? You can have card within a card within a card, and you can keep going, right? Because our world is infinitely subtle. Our reality is got infinite details, and all the complexity comes from all the details that goes into it, right? And all the interconnections that happens and all the subtleties that exist within that space. So yeah, to me, I don't restrict myself based on this is the limit I would go to, because the artifact that we produce is not what is important. It is the perspectives, it is the truth, and it's the narratives that we come up with in that process. So when I do it collaboratively, we go as deep as required to get to the truth. Yeah. Does it make sense? Is there anything that doesn't sit well with anyone? All right.
I do have a question, Joe. So would you create like a context, like with certain parameter? Would that be something that you can actually establish, like a table of contenters in a certain way? Okay.
Yeah, so in terms of establishing really the objectives and the goals of that analysis helps us to keep that focus, right? Otherwise, we could go into every little rabbit hole and get lost in that detail as well, so that's not what we're trying to do. And we're not trying to create a map of the entire world with all its details. What we're really after is, there is something that's bothering us. Okay, there is a problem, but everything that surrounds that problem, right? We want to see everything, in that context. We don't want to be too fixated on the problem alone. Okay, we want to see what else is affecting us, what other things are existing in that space, what other interactions exist, right? So we will go a little bit more into the theory of systems thinking a little bit now. So we can, with this practical, hands-on feel for it, then you can actually relate a little bit more, and then we can talk about it more. Yeah. Does it make sense? Okay, cool.